27th. Yesterday, November 26th, was runoff election day in Mississippi by state statute. 3 weeks after Election Day is when the runoff happens, and that's going to change in the future. To go over some of those results, Kelly Bennett joins us right now from the News Mississippi team. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning to you. How you doing? Ready for Thanksgiving? Woo-hoo!
Yes. Yeah, like anxiously looking forward to it. Actually ready. No, there's a lot of work to be done between now and about lunchtime tomorrow.
Yeah. Who does most of the work on the cooking in your house? Is it you?
Only on the meat. I'm in charge of turkey and appetizers. Yeah.
Such a man thing. Yeah.
Well,
okay.
It's all right. But it's all the sides and desserts and everything that kind of make Thanksgiving.
Absolutely. So, yeah.
That's where I fall. Let's start before we jump into results. Turnout. That was a concern yesterday, and it was expected to be relatively low. A tough time, right? 3 weeks after the election, Thanksgiving week, and turnout. Where did we finish?
Well, it was low, as expected. I'm not sure of the exact numbers. I haven't had a chance to look into those this morning yet, but we do know turnout was low. I talked to a lot of people on the coast who didn't even know there was an election yesterday. They didn't know about the runoffs. I think it's just the nature of a race for court seats. You know, people, I don't think a lot of people really realize how this affects them in their real life, or maybe they do. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, a lot of people didn't even know there was a runoff yesterday. Then I talked to other people who had already been out, and they were proud that they had already voted. So Amy St. Pé was declared the winner of the District 5 Court of Appeals seat in southern Mississippi. She won against Jennifer Schloegel. The election originally included Ian Baker. He conceded after not having enough votes to get into the runoff. Now, if you're not familiar with St. Pé, she's a longtime Moss Point city attorney and Gaucher municipal judge. It was called pretty early for her. No real surprises. As of 9:36, she had garnered 6,924 more votes than her opponent, with 97% of total votes counted. That made for a pretty convincing 23.8-point winning margin. So no questions there. But then you've got State Senator.
It was interesting how we got to the runoff, because with St. Pé and Schloegel and also Ian Baker, they were both around a third of the votes. St. Pé got the most at about 35%, then you had Schloegel at 33% and Baker at 32%. And it may have surprised some people in that initial, so you get to the runoff because nobody got to 50%.
Yeah, and it took a while to get there, because us and the news team, we kept going, has this thing been called yet? And you're coming in every day checking to see if the results are official. But eventually he conceded, and we were left with the two candidates. Now we have our winner. The other race still hasn't been called. State Senator Jennifer Branning and Justice Jim Kitchens locked in a closely contested runoff for the Mississippi Supreme Court seat on Tuesday. So this is known as the Central District, the Supreme Court District 1. As of midnight, Branning led Kitchens by a razor-thin margin of just over 500 votes out of 128,000 votes tallied. More than 11,000 votes still uncounted. The final outcome hinging on remaining ballots. Now, it's interesting to note the race could come down to absentee and affidavit ballots, which are not counted in the AP's election night tabulation. State law currently allows election workers to process mail-in absentee ballots up to 5 days after Election Day, as long as the ballot was postmarked by the date of the election. So it could be like December 6th before we know who wins this race. It looked like Branning was really going to win. I mean, early in the night, she was way up, and then some of the other counties started coming in, and the race got tighter and tighter.
Hinds County was huge for Jim Kitchens, over 23,000 votes to just over 7,000. So he won Hinds County 76-24, roughly. Now, there are votes that are still coming in there. Rankin County was big, though, for Jennifer Branning, as was Madison County. And then as you work to the east, closer to her home area, Leake County, she wins. She wins in Scott County, in Newton County, in Neshoba County, in Noxubee County, Lauderdale County, et cetera, et cetera. So an impressive performance for her in her home area, and then Jim Kitchens did pretty well. This was always going to be about turnout, though, and I see that on supertalk.fm, if you want to follow results, you can do that. Jennifer Branning's lead has actually grown a little bit with the most recent update that we've got there.
I saw that this morning, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And there was talk, people that know her, she's really big in the Presbyterian community. A lot of people were Pentecostal. Thank you for that. So I thought that was kind of an interesting thing. But I came across this article, Richard, on the Mississippi Free Press that really goes into how they've ruled Kitchens and Branning on different items. And Branning, it's supposed to be nonpartisan in Mississippi, but the GOP officially endorsed Branning and backed her. And you've heard a lot of, lawmakers and others on the show, Mike Hurst, the GOP chair, come on Super Talk and basically endorse Branning. So it's interesting to see how tight this contest is. But she has a voting record on criminal justice issues that suggest a harsher approach toward criminal defendants. She supported higher mandatory minimum sentences, reclassifying misdemeanors as felonies. She's opposed expansion of parole, and she was among only a few lawmakers who voted against legalizing medical marijuana. She also supported increasing the jurisdiction of a controversial state-run police force inside Jackson, increasing state control over a lot of felony cases. And Kitchens has advocated for public defense reforms during his 2 terms on the court. He said last year, the playing field is far from level between prosecutors and poor defendants.
Interesting stuff. We had both candidates on Super Talk Mississippi. I visited with Jim Kitchens a couple of weeks ago. One of the big differences that he laid out between his opponent, Jennifer Branning, and himself was experience. And it's his experience trying cases, being in front of a courtroom in the private sector, working in the public sector as a district attorney, and experience at the state's highest court in his multiple terms serving there, and pointed to a lack of experience for his opponent, Jennifer Branning. But in the eyes of voters, that may not end up making the difference that he had hoped it would.
Well, age also came into play, just like it did in the presidential election. His age came into play. And he basically said, look, I've not been serving in the court this entire time that I've been elected. And he had a lot to say about the ads that were being run against him during the election cycle. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But yeah, could be a while, Richard.
So you said December 6th before final certification. Could be that long?
That's when counties have to certify election results and send them to the Secretary of State's office. We could know before then, but December 6th at the latest.
And as these affidavits and mail-in ballots are being counted, you would think, I guess tomorrow being a holiday maybe changes this a little bit. Is there a chance that by the end of today we have a pretty good idea of how this ended?
Well, first thing this morning when I got in, I would have said maybe not. But now I'm looking at as these votes are coming in, like as we speak, maybe. Yeah. It's possible.
Most recent update at 7:43. They're happening about every 5 minutes. Currently, 61,978. That's 51.2% for Jennifer Branning, and 58,999, 48.8% for Jim Kitchens. So. Once this is done, we get to put election coverage to bed for a little while.
For a minute. It feels like we're always covering some kind of election. And don't forget, there were also smaller races yesterday, down ballot races like school boards, and I think there were some election commissioners on there as well. So.
Well, and then you had local judge seats in a lot of different counties that were in runoffs as well. I mean, where I am in Lafayette County, we had one of those. There were a couple of school board things on there as well. So. Hope you made it out to vote yesterday. I was like just under the deadline. 6:57, something like that. I walked in. There was one person that voted after me last night, but it's like, hey, I got it done. Got in and out in a hurry. And I asked the kind ladies that were working. I said, a little bit slower today. They're like, yeah, it's been kind of slow. I think I was 281 for my precinct, which is a pretty low number at the end of the day. Kelly, thanks for checking in. Hope you have a great day and happy Thanksgiving.
Back at you, Richard. Thank you.
We'll talk to you soon. That's Kelly Bennett. She is a multimedia journalist on our News Mississippi team. What a great job they do. Be sure to check out supertalk.fm and keep up with all that's happening in the Magnolia State. What do you say we wrap up the 7 o'clock hour? On the other side of this quick timeout, we'll let Jimmy Buffett take you to break. I love it.